A Judeo-Christian Guide to Healing from Complex Trauma. How can I develop better discernment and boundaries to keep myself safe, sane, and healthy? Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Ephesians 6:10 and 11. Sometimes the evil one will plant others in our path to afflict us. Yet we also have to be careful that we are not merely taking what this someone else is saying and are doing the wrong way. Sometimes we invent enemies in our own heads to defeat, mainly because that is what we are used to, fighting and surviving others. I suppose in part we also do this because it gives us some semblance of familiarity, hence control over our lives and those dark principalities which conspire against us at seemingly every impasse. And of course, it also gives us a sense of control over that of our own mortality, ever imminent, or at least the illusion thereof. Then again, sometimes we are correct about someone's ill and or false intentions towards us, and we are merely utilizing our God-given interpersonal radar to protect ourselves. It is hard to tell the difference sometimes. This is, I suppose, for those such as myself, one of the byproducts of CPTSD, of being a survivor of systematic childhood emotional abuse, amongst other things. As someone once remarked, between the past and the present lies many crossed wires. Okay, so I just said that. Nevertheless, the damage is often already done, even when we happen to find out that this other person's intentions weren't what we thought they were. And this failing of my own interpersonal broadcasting system, however much a venial sin it may indeed be, is still a sin nonetheless. It is a failing of my fellow human beings which brings me much grief and abiding sorrow. Oftentimes we hurt others the most due to our own self-protective reflexes, and at least what we perceive in the moment of emotional danger are assumptions of others' intentions behind why they did what they did and or said what they said. All that we each can do of our own accord is continue making a sincere effort to continue treating our fellow human beings with dignity and the respect that we ourselves would like to be treated with. Although for the time being one may have to erect a healthy boundary to another person that we either perceive has wrongly transgressed us in some way or has actually transgressed us in some way. I am often tempted at the start of a new relationship to give a warning. I am giving you the benefit of the doubt by letting you in. Please do not make a fool of me and make me regret it. And don't mistake my human decency for an invitation to transgress. Unfortunately, it seems, out of about every 300 people that you meet, you are blessed and fortunate to cross the path of even just one person who has no ulterior motives towards you, and who truly understands and is capable of respecting you. But let it be. Let it be. That, in my book, is more than enough to make it out of this life with your soul unsouled. And as always, a cultivation of self-awareness is our most impenetrable shield against those dark principalities which conspire against all servants and children of God and the truth out there in the world, merely trying to bring some light and some truth to this dark world. Although we must take heed, when wielding this shield of self-possession, to not leave that shield of faith, that breastplate of righteousness, that belt of truth, that helmet of salvation, and that sword of the Spirit forged alone through the power of the Holy Writ, at home in the closet. Self-reliance is all good until we come up against our own humanity and the dysfunctionality of our crossed wires and past wounds. Because, truth be told, yes, there are some deliberately, even if perhaps unconsciously, treacherous and mean-spirited people out there, but we must remember that they, too, sometimes act out of their own woundedness. Not that this is an excuse for their behavior, but it can enable us to erect healthy boundaries while also treating those who wish us harm with dignity and sensitivity. And by the way, being guarded is not the same thing as being callous or cold-hearted. As a matter of fact, healthy boundaries against those who mistreat us serve the main function of preventing our own feet from slipping into evil. As the scripture so sagely reminds us to guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. To that I would add, guard your mind, for it can become the wellspring of death. All priceless treasures must be well guarded and well kept. And truly, Scripture also reminds us, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, the authorities, the powers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Ephesians 6:12 through 13.